Okay. Let's get this started. So just a quick note, generally speaking, this is not the best Lucio map, Junkertown. I know last time you gave me another about a review on Junkertown as well. That said, it really doesn't matter. You can play it anyways. Just keep in mind that like the silents are very long, so getting to snipers is rather difficult, and a lot of the high grounds, especially on first point, later on it becomes much better for Lucio, but especially on first point, the map is very open and very flat, which makes it difficult to play Lucio.
3, 2, 1.
Just generally, as support, general principles when the door's open, don't walk through. Wait for like projectiles and fire strikes and like helix rockets to like, you know, hit your tanks first, and just chill in the doorway, and then for at least like 1 to 2 seconds, right? It's just a good habit to have.
Activating the barrier.
Adjusting angle.
Yeah, okay. So this is mostly just map up knowledge, or matchup. Did I say map up? And side note is like you don't really want to play this side because this side doesn't really have cover. You want to play this side because this side has cover and verticality, which is like everything you need, right? This side is like kind of hard to play comparatively. But assuming you are playing this side against Reinhardt, you want to use his hammer swings to like sort of. Wait a second. Why is it doing this? Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, hang on. Alright. Sorry. And you also want to play your distance and use his hammer swings to like knock you away. Because his hammer swings are not back, and as Lucio, like you can just sort of like get hit and just go flying. Which you can use that for separation, or you can use boop. You can both at the same time. It's great. So boop forward is great. So you really don't want to walk forward here. And you also probably want to flip towards healing at some point in here. And then if he hits you again, then you need to be speed, and you don't get hit. So what if you watch your movement from third-person cam? So just like watch it for me.
Finishing them off.
So boop launch is good, but then you walk back into him. He actually missed a swing on you. But you actually move towards him here, right? So he gets a free hit. And then you're gonna step because you're trying to arc away like this. I don't know how to explain it, but you take like kind of a curved path to get to here. He walks in a straight line, he catches up with you, right? So make sure you use walls for separation. So like have backwards wall riding enabled if you don't already, and then just literally just like hit jump a bunch of times while like hugging the wall, and you'll just like fly backwards and he'll never catch up with you. At that point, all you need to dodge is like the fire strike. So if you see him winding up or something, then you jump away from the wall, right? But you just need to create separation, and the fastest way to create separation isn't by out moving or anything. It's literally just jumping on the wall. It'll go faster.
Let's up the tempo.
Payload in motion.
Healing boost.
Hello.
This is good, being on speed when there's nothing going on. So, in a world where you're not expected to be on cart, you should be like posting up more aggressively. You kind of would rather be like up on this by now. So that way, like the ability if someone steps too far, you can boop them out. Or if it's like a solo DPS, oh, I'm lagging. If it's like a solo DPS, right? Let's say like a Widow takes a shot here and you see that, you can just like drop down, quad headshot melee, and they're actually just dead. So you do want to get up here, in a world where you don't have to move cart. In most team settings, you'll probably have to move cart. But since you just have this Orisa just sitting on cart for you, like, take advantage of this opportunity to leave cart and go to make your own plays, right? So. Now you're moving cart, leaving cart. But again, like this is not where you want to play. You want to be like on high ground above or off to the side, right? So if you get like high ground here, right, you climb this spot, you get up here. Now you're in a situation where you can just like skate across, and if someone takes a step too far out, you just boop them, right? Just land in the window, boop them out, and then like leave, because you're Lucio and you can do that.
Let's get get you healed up. Medical delivery on the way.
That amp was probably too early. I don't think it really got much value. So, by the way, this is generally why you don't want to run Lucio with double shield. In that, like, your tanks just don't really need the speed. But outside of like very specific situations, so like you can this is one of the situations where you're actually allowed to play as aggressive as you want as a hero because there's no backline to protect, right? And your tanks don't need the shields. Oh, okay, well there's backline to protect, but like as long as you have a basic idea of where the ball is, you're fine. Plus, this is really the Mercy's responsibility. You actually do more to protect your backline by like harassing the Echo and the Soldier than actually staying with them. So you have a lot of license to go aggressive with this comp, and you also like for the most part like don't need to really help your team or like give auras to like your tanks. So if you want to go like really aggressive with amp, like keeping their spawn, like that's fine. Just keep in mind that like this amp is literally just for you to get healing, which is like okay, but it's really not the best. Yeah, your movement could use some work. Overall, it's a lot better than it was last time in terms of like using walls for platforms and stuff like that, and like launching pads. That was really good. You see how you use like the momentum that from him hitting you to just like get an extra like bunny hop away from him, and you end up so far away that he can't follow up on you again, right? That was really good. That's what you want to do every time Ryan hits you, pretty much. Unless it'll like knock you into their team.
Push off.
Alright, your tanks are having a lot of problems taking space. You see that? There you go again, right? Like, you take it, that momentum of getting hit, and you just go flying, right? That's what we want to do. Really good. This is good. It sucks that, like, your Hanzo still died, but, like, this is what you want to do. Like, if there's a single flanker on the enemy team, as Lucio, you can just go duel them. Because they are, generally speaking, a lot less threatening to you than they are to your other support. And you also have a lot less to worry about. So as a result, because like you can do a lot of your job passively. So if you just find the enemy flanker before they get to your team and just go duel them, generally speaking, it's a fairly good strategy. So long as like they're not just like way better than you and kill you. Trust me, I've done that a lot. As in died to the flanker who's better than me. So that's something you want to just keep tabs on. Is if they're really good, you probably don't want to do this. But it is good to just like you don't have to kill them necessarily. You just have to like fight them and keep them busy, right? So if you just like play a doorway, you just shoot out of the door, and then every time they try to walk through the door, you boop them back, right? Like that's like a pain to deal with. And you just like change your position relative to the door, like you get above it, you get to the side of it, and he just never knows which side you're on. And you just fight him from there. Really hard to deal with. So what you should do is after that Genji like gets your Hanzo, like you should just keep trying to fight this Genji, right? Just keep their flanker busy. And now he's on your Mercy. But if like you fought the Genji and maybe you forced him out or you killed him, right? Now your Mercy has a free res. This is a good amp. You kind of have to in your life. This might be worth beating as well. Okay, you should beat this. So you hear Soldier ult on your right. And you're not really sure what it is initially, but then like you hear it like actually shooting from behind you on your right, which means that like I don't know exactly where he is, but based on just my estimate from the sound, he should be. Let's see, I don't want to like. Okay, so my impression was he is right here. Okay, like I thought he was like right here. So just based on the sound and the fact that he's shooting behind you, this should be an awareness like, oh crap, he's actually flanking. This isn't just some random visor over on the other side of the map I can't interact with, right? So if the visor was here and he was dueling somebody, he just visor to kill him, right? You can't do much about that. But in this case, you can hear it's behind you. You know he's shooting a teammate behind you. You should drop the beat here, because otherwise, you're just gonna lose a teammate. So let's play that back so you hear what I'm hearing, and that way you have a better idea what I'm talking about. Okay, he's actually shooting behind you, right? Which means that you should beat this. This is really aggressive chase. Your teammates actually survive it. But you should still beat that just to be sure. Or at least look at what he's doing so you know whether or not you need to beat it, right? So if you turned around, like he soldier ulted, you turned around, and right as you saw the soldier as you're ducking behind the corner, thinking about whether or not you need to beat, your Sig stuck a shield in his face, right? Then there's no need to beat anymore, right? But generally speaking, like if you don't look, you won't know, right? And if you heard the voice line, you just ran forward and tried to frag someone, right? So just make sure you look at ults so you know how to respond to it, especially ults that you're supposed to be countering, right? So, like as beat, you're supposed to counter like things like Grav, Death Blossom, Soldier ult, Genji Blade, right? All these like, pretty much most ults are counterable with beat, right? So just that's why in general you just look at the ult, see if you can counter it, then or see if it's needed to counter it, right? Because if your stick or Orisa stick a shield in the guy's face, he's not doing anything anymore, right? So just collect information, see if you need to, and then act. This is your automatic.
Push on.
Alright, again, just as a general rule, don't go for the enemy Lucio. It's a really difficult fight that neither of you guys can actually like reliably kill each other in any reasonable fashion, and he's got healing on him, right? So like, if you want to go for someone, go for the Mercy, or go for the Genji. The Genji is a totally valid target to go for, again, because like the way you actually can peel for your backline in these cases is just go for the DPS first, because your Lucio's a really strong duelist character, and if there's nobody to protect directly, you can help them indirectly. Helping people indirectly is actually better than helping them directly if they're not going to die while you're doing it, right? So there's only one flanker. In this case, there's a ball as well, but you know you don't really do much against ball anyway. So, but there's realistically only one major flanker that you can concern yourself with. So if you just hunt this Genji down and fight him, like he's gonna be so sad.
Push on.
Team up for special attack.
There should be shatter coming.
Heroes never die.
Okay, this beat was a little questionable, mostly because there's not a lot of reason to do it yet. So, I mean, I guess you're saving this guy. Not that bad. It's not that bad of a beat, but the big problem is there's a lot of characters that won't really use the beat. And then what's going to happen is like, if you don't get a kill off this beat immediately, and preferably like 2 kills, then they're just going to return this fight potentially with Blade, right? So like, don't beat unless you have to, or your team like really needs the tempo, right? So like in the case of like rush comps, you can call that you're going to beat. So just like call the engage, and then as your team's like really like gets into the enemy team, then you beat, and your team now is beat for the fight. But in this case, like your Mercy's already popping Valk, you guys have plenty sustain. This beat is a little questionable. It's not the okay. Don't get me wrong. This isn't like a terrible beat by any means. This is actually not like a bad beat, but it's not like a good beat either. You know, it's an okay beat. If you fail to get the boop, don't like force it, right? Chances are like forcing it probably won't give you a beat either way. Or the boop, sorry. Yeah, just go for the boop. If you don't get it, like just go back to what you're doing. This is a situation where you probably should have been in the fight, because like the fight moved away from here pretty quickly, right? Like you boot the ball and you turn around. If you jumped off this wall, jumped off this thing, landed here, you would have been back on cart and you're back in the fight, right? And your auras would be pretty helpful here. Yeah. I know Overwatch is like a fast game, but like it's not so fast that you can't just like react to like there's still time to think, right? So you see this guy's up in front of you, right? Like just stop what you're doing, stop moving, right? Press back and try and get in range and try and get in an angle of the booper, right? If you booper, you cancel the res, like your impact's already enormous. You already essentially killed someone, right? Make sure you're on speed when there's a blade in play, and you also want to hit amp, just so anyone near you can like really spread out, right? So even if you're not with your backline and like speeding them away from the blade, it's still worth it to just like hit amp speed and just try to get anyone who's close to the blade away from the blade, right? Or close to you away from you, right? And then you guys all spread out, right? You also want to look to, like again, like when there's ults in play, you need to look at ults to address them, right? Even if like you can't do anything about it, right? So if the Genji blade's on top of you, you need to like look at him, so that way you know whether or not he's going for you, A, and B, when you need to boop, because boop is a really strong counter to blade, but you need to know like where he is or where he's going, right, to counter it, right? Heal here. Again, go fight the Genji. Genji doesn't actually like fighting. There's certain characters that actually do kind of like fighting Lucio, namely like Tracer. Tracer is like pretty good at fighting Lucio, especially really good Tracers. Bad Tracers, not so much. But Genji is a character that does not really like fighting Lucio. So this is just playing your cover. So the soldier's on this side, right? He's also the only one shooting you, right? There's a Genji somewhere that you can fight, right? You can hunt down the Genji and kill him. But also like you're kind of going around, you're kind of moving just to move, even though like the hit scan's over here. The damage is coming from here, right? So if the damage is coming from here, if you're not going to go fight him, right? Again, this is kind of far to fight him. This is why this map is not the best for Lucio at first. If you're not planning on fighting him, you got to hide from him, right? Okay, there's a ball here. Like use the cart as like cover, for example, right? Like I mean, early on you did this, right? You hid behind the cart, right? But if you are stuck out in the open, right, in a situation where like there's a guy shooting at you, just use cover, right? Natural cover. Stay calm, cover. Don't run in a circle around the cart.
30 seconds remaining.
Don't give up. You can still win this.
Impossible. The enemy returns.
No one can hide from the hunters.
All right, you're making your life harder on yourself here when you going for this assassination. So you can just come over here and go for a kill, right? And chances are like you'll get a decent shot at it, right? You choose to go around all the way around, which is kind of a bit much, but it's still not like a terrible idea.
No one can hide
But like,
from the hunters.
so you're above him right now, and you know you have walls on him, right? So you just need to like land here, and as you're landing, go line up a headshot, right? And then you just line up like a triple, quadruple headshot, and then like boop him off the high ground, and then chase him, right? And you'll probably kill him. You just need to make it not complicated because he has no idea where you are, right? So this is like, for example, like Widows, if like there's no pressure on you, there's no need to move, right? Just take your shot, right? Same idea with Lucio, right? If they don't know where you are, line up the shots, right? Make it simple on yourself. So you like overshoot him, because you're like so determined, like get on. It feels like at least it feels that you're trying to get on top of him, like literally on top. But you have so much momentum that just carries you right past him. Plus he's backing up, right? So just land a little early, go for the shots, line them up, make it easy.
10 seconds remaining.
My jam.
This amp is a little questionable. So whenever someone hooks someone, right? Whenever, really, when either team hooks, you want to pay attention to the hook, because if it's on your team, you can help finish kills. If it's on their team, you can disrupt it with like boop or things like that, or just like shooting the hog can also matter, right? In this case, your hog gets the hook, so you need to turn around and make sure he helps. He finishes it. I know, like maybe the 180 motion doesn't feel natural for you yet. That's something you definitely want to practice for pretty much every character, especially like characters like Lucio, which have a lot of like, there's a lot of spinning around. Right here, he gets hooked past you, and if you just turn around and melee, you'd probably kill him. Like if you just turn around, meleeed, he would die, right? Actually, how much health does he get to? Whoops. Yeah, if you just meleeed him in the back, he'd die, right? So like, just remember, turn around, contribute to the kill, right? And actually, like, believe me, it really does help. Because like, there's a lot of kills that Hog drops at just like a little bit of health, and that's very normal. Okay, so again, if you hear the visor and you don't have beat, right, all you can do is like speed teammates around if they need to get to cover and hide, right? That's a big one. If you just hide here, you don't die, right? But you went over the wall because it just feels like you're still mastering the movement, so you're just like using it everywhere, even when you don't actually need to. They get you killed here. You just jump over the wall, right? Like into a visor.
One after another. The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Gotta make you feel better.
Here, Mako.
I'll watch one more fight.
Activating the barrier.
So again, you're spending too much time in the open on low ground, right? Your spot is generally just going to be like right here, right? You start here initially because like you defend the spot against flankers coming from this side or this side, right? And as the fight develops, then like again, you have really easy access to the wall, so you just take the wall, and like boom, you're in position to go for like a flank on like let's say a guy here, right? So if you're like a widow staring down this corridor or something, right? There's no way you're looking here, right? You just come over here, land over here, kill them, right? Or if like they're playing further back, you still have total control of this spot for yourself for free, right? Um, and then you can transition to like playing over here, right? Now you're on the high ground. You're playing it. You're shooting, right? You're providing like you can potentially help out your tracer go for a dive, right? Again, there's no actual backline threat on the enemy team except for this tracer. So as long as you keep tabs on what the tracer is, you know that she was one of the later ones to die, so she's in spawn. Then you can just chill here and just do whatever you want, really. So this is the stage, the part of the game where you're allowed to do whatever you want because there's no threat to your backline, right? So this is where you should be playing really aggressive, right? Take space, play angles, right? This is where you can play like a Genji, right? Just like take the high ground and start spamming them, right? Build your ult, right? Just try to stay within aura range if possible, so that way you can heal your teammates, but it's not necessary, etc., etc. When there's mines, like you probably want to hit speed, or at least
Yeah,
at least
time
flip
to
or to
heal
speed.
up.
You don't have to actually cancel. But like right here, you switch to speed to get your team out of the mine radius before they activate, right? Everyone gets out okay, but like if this was a little worse, like say your Sig was a little here, he definitely needs the speed amp to get out, and you should at least be an aura, right?
Turn it up.
You really don't want to be playing the ground here because this Ryan should be getting close to Shatter, or at least you haven't seen it in a while. So again, you want to play up above. If you were here, you control this spot, and now this Tracer can't get here for free, right? Like, I didn't even see this Tracer going this over here. So if like you're over here, the Tracer will run to you first, right? You fight him off, right? And then if someone shatters, right? You have beat, you're on the high ground, you're not shattered, you just beat from here, you save your team, right? Just make sure you don't jump off when you beat. But you get the idea, right? If you just camp out this area, this Tracer now has to get through you, and if you're in trouble, what do you do? You either grab the Mega for free, right? Or you just jump if you take some damage, but it's not like a good fight. Like she gets to jump on you initially. Then you just like jump out of the window, jump over here, right? She literally can't shoot you from here unless she peeks all the way out, which is like super easy shots for either you or the Widow because it's a crossfire. You heal up for like 2 seconds and then you jump back into the window and again you're strong. And you can as Lucio you can just take the fights you want to take. But if you get shattered right now, it's really, really bad. Yeah. Might not die for this,
Let's break it. Damn.
yeah, so like you get the beat off, you don't die, which is good. But again, like your Sig essentially died for your mistake, right? And like again, this is always going to happen. You can't save everybody, but it was definitely preventable. Is the point, right? I'm trying to make, I guess. Like A, you would make space for your team by just like dealing with the Tracer first, and then B, you would be in position to beat without dying, right?
Let's up the tempo. Raising the volume.
You also want to mix in a lot more melees, I think, early on, in your combos, right? So when you're trying to fight the Rhine earlier, right? You go for this quad. When you go for this burst, 4 shots, if you're not going to boop, you want to melee, right? Or you can just melee and then boop, right? But the melee will go a long ways towards extending your clip. And it's also very reliable damage against a Reinhardt who has literally no way of defending against it, right? And extending your clip with Lucio a lot of damage. Like, you get close to this guy, right? Good job you realizing that you weren't on the wall. By the way, in order to get closer, you amp speed and then you jumped off the wall to get like behind him, which is good. But just like when you shoot, melee, right? Just melee him and it'll like die. Like, see, even Josh, like the Widow is jumping in meleeing this guy, right? You just melee him.
Let's get you back out there.
Wait, he's coming back.
Gonna make you feel better.
Alright, he died. Yeah. I understand there was probably a call about someone behind. Most likely. But you literally see this guy grapple right in front of you. And he's about to hit you, so you know. Just turn around, boop, he'll die.
It's gonna make you feel better.
Yeah, when nothing's happening, don't be on heal, be on speed. If you're not sure which one you should be on, do like a quick 360, find out where everybody is, right? See their health, and if they don't need to heal aura, just go back to speed, right?
I am loving this.
And again, remember, you don't want to be on cart for the most part, especially in situations like this. So like your team's running Hog Sig, which means that like your job is no longer to be on cart, really. Like if you're a Ryan Zarya comp and your team was pushing up, there's an argument for you being on cart, right? But in this case, like, uh, A, this is you're not running a Ryan Zarya, you're running like this Hog 6 stuff. And B, because you're about to cap, whenever you're about to cap, you don't want squishies on cart, right? So you want to post up, play some high ground spot like the flank, right? Where the tracer's going to come from, either this side or that side. So pick one side and go there, right? If you want to pick somewhere in the middle, you can just like play over here, right? So that way you can see her which way she goes. If she comes out this way, again, you just like figure out some way to get there relatively quickly, right? Off walls. If she comes to that side, then you can duel her in this corridor, and she has a horrible time, right? But yeah, you don't want to play cart for the most part. Cart is what you have to do when it's safe. A, it has to be safe, and B, it has to be a situation where like no one else could reasonably play cart here. And right now you have a tank coming back. Like your hog could totally reasonably play cart. Like there's a lot of people who could. Either one of your tanks could reasonably play cart, and you're in position to take high ground and actually deal with the tracer. So you should do that.
Hello there. 60 seconds.
Like just think of what you're actually doing here. Like you put like, I don't know, maybe 200 damage into the shield here, and that's kind of about it, right? But if you're posting on the high ground, you can potentially zone out the tracer, which is a much bigger deal. Because where is the tracer right now? Where is the tracer? Is she dead? Oh, she's over here. So she's about to come from underneath and touch, right? But like you being here like doesn't really change anything. Also, this amp is probably not needed. I understand Jade's low, but like again, like your amp heal is about as strong as a Lucio here. It just as a Mercy Beam, right? So just keep in mind that like whenever you amp, like whether you're actually getting more value than a Mercy Beam. If you're getting the same value as a Mercy Beam, probably not the best amp, right? The only time the only time you should amp for one person is if they're actually about to die, and if them dying actually throws the fight, right? So in this case, your Sig dying would throw the fight, but he's also like he's probably going to live either way, right? You're just healing him up a bit faster, and it's not really necessary right now. And again, this is why you want to play vertically, because if you're playing vertically, right? So like if you want to back out, you just start climbing this pillar, and then you climb the pillar, and you're like, wow, I'm not in room to get pulse bomb, right? And this is also why you should duel the tracer, so she doesn't just like throw a pulse bomb onto you when you don't even see it coming, right? Because you kind of jumped into it not knowing there would be a pulse bomb. But if you were just fighting the tracer, you would see exactly where the pulse bomb's coming from and move to dodge it, right? One more fight. If this fight's still going on by the time we get there. Yeah, so you either got to commit harder by going to cart and helping out your hog and fighting for it, right? And trying to keep people off and shooting them when they come at you, right? Or you got to play the high ground, right? So you get a better vision, and then you make a decision on who to focus from there. But you got to pick one, right? You can't just like sit back here and be like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to shoot from back here, right? This is not the play. So just as a general rule, okay, so I'm going to sum up now. If you have any questions on anything, let me know. But for the most part, you need to focus on playing high ground positions, using your mobility to take and hold the high ground, fight individual flankers in situations where they're not running like all dive, right? In this case, they never ran actual dive. They had like a ball and a flanker at most. You don't really interact with the ball, so you go fight the flanker, right? In cases where you have an Ana, you might actually have to play a bit more defensively because the ball is a bit more of a problem for your Ana. But as long as your Ana is good with their sleep, it's not the end of the world. Or with if there's Zen. If you have a Zen, you have to baby him. But Zen Lucio is kind of bad anyway, so probably won't be happening. But yeah, you don't really have anyone who's super vulnerable to the ball that isn't like pocketable by the Mercy, and the Mercy is not super vulnerable to the ball. So you just chase down the other flanker, you fight them. Like I said earlier, take and hold high ground is really good, just in general. If you can maintain high ground, like certain spots, without ever like letting go of the wall, that's a really big deal. So as an example, in certain cases, like there won't be a ledge that is on the high ground that you want to control, right? So
I am loving this.
I messed up.
Shut it down.
Not the best spot to climb. All right. So for example, say there's no ledge here, right? like say there's no ledge,
Check this
and I just
out.
want to keep climbing this pillar. Like if you can sustain, like reliably hold you. I'm just really bad at this. It's been a while. If you can like sustain this spot, do stuff like this. That's actually like a really big deal because you never have to like touch the ground, and you're still in the high ground position we talked about, right? There's certain spots on like Nepal Village where like it's just kind of like a box, right? And the whole time, if you just like, a lot of times Lucio gets played into fire comps on that map. So the whole time you can just like play at the top of the wall. It's actually kind of a big deal. What else I was trying to say? Get used to like dueling people. I actually like really recommend deathmatch for this if you really want to work on dueling skills. Just again keep awareness of like ults, right? Lucio's a big like team answer to ults a lot of the time. Like it's just, like even when you don't have beat, it's really valuable to like speed your team around away from ultimates, right? Like especially like Blade or Nano Blade. When the Genji dashes up, you just sit, if you're sitting next to your flex support, you just hit amp and start running away, right? With speed. And chances are you'll open up a lot of distance. Most Genjis won't actually be ready for it. And then when they try to dash in to close the distance, you boot them back, and you just keep backing up. And you and your flex support are home free, and it's really hard to deal with. So yeah, more awareness of ults. Take and hold high ground, especially in situations where it's like you put yourself in the path of the flanker. Yeah, be more conscious of your anti-switch. That wasn't actually the best Lucio game in terms of like just like your own comp. So like a lot of your gameplay there is like literally just going to go and fight people because there's actually nothing to protect, and there's not really much to peel either. That you're supposed to peel off in the first place. So like there's nobody to peel for, and there's nobody to peel against. So as a result, a lot of that game I was like just talking about like, oh, this is like matchup knowledge. You can just go fight this guy, you can go kill this guy, right, kind of thing. That's really what you want to focus on going forward. I recommend deathmatch for like dueling skills, and then like just like try and like play games with like Rein Zarya, which is like the most common use for Lucio, or find games with like flex supports worth protecting, right? Like Zen or Ana. And if you get one of them in your game, then just make it your goal to like defend them. Right? If you get a Mercy, tough luck. Lucio Mercy is not very good. You probably won't be actually playing it much with it. Won't be seeing that much with our team itself. Yeah, that's kind of it. Remember to stick near walls as opposed to playing the open. The open's not very good. Yeah, that's all. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll cut it here.